Commander Zexhai stood in the big meeting room. His body was made of crystal and it shined in the dark light. Around him sat many fleet commanders from different worlds. They all looked at a big screen that showed the galaxy. One star system was red and flashing. "Listen to me," Zexhai said. His voice was old and tired. "We need to talk about the most important rule in our war. You see that red system on the screen? That is the Sol system. The third planet is called Earth. Admiral, Vorthak was a big alien with 4 arms. He raised one arm to speak. Commander, we know the humans have been quiet for 200 years. Why do we care about them? They are weak and old." Zexhai looked very serious. "No, Admiral, you have not read the secret files. The humans are not weak. They are sleeping." The room became very quiet. Zexhai pressed a button and showed old videos on the screen. 200 years ago, there were the border wars. A small human ship met some Krillian raiders. 3 big Krillian warships attacked one small human science ship called the Aurora. The human captain was Jake Morrison. The video played. It showed something that should not be possible. The human ship moved in ways that made no sense. Somehow, it stopped all 3 enemy ships without destroying them. Morrison's ship only had mining tools and basic shields. But 3 warships were left floating in space. The crews were alive, but their ships could not move. "That cannot be real," said General Ketra from the back. "The Krillians thought the same thing," Zexhai continued. "So they sent 12 more ships to check. They found Morrison's ship waiting for them. What happened next is still secret. 7 different governments will not talk about it." The screen showed what was left after the fight. 12 Krillian ships floated dead in space. Their metal shells had no marks on them, but nothing inside worked. "The humans sent one message to our nearest base. Captain Morrison said it himself. He said, 'We want to be alone. We are going to sleep now. Do not wake us up.'" Nobody in this room made a sound. After that, Zexhai went on, all human ships went back to Earth. Their colonies went dark. Their space stations turned off. For 200 years, no human has left their home system. Our long-distance scans show very little activity, just enough to keep people alive. Vorthak moved in his chair. "So they are sleeping? What is dangerous about that?" Zexhai's eyes got brighter. "The danger is that we do not know what they can do when they wake up. Our best scientists think humans are the only race that gets stronger when they are in trouble. While we fight wars and get tired, they sleep and get better. They dream and make plans." A young officer from faraway space asked, "Sir, what are you telling us to do?" "The order from the Galactic Council is simple," Zexhai said. "Never attack human space or human ships. Never threaten them. Never even go near them. It does not matter how much we need help. It does not matter how much we want what they have. We do not wake the humans." He stopped talking and let his words sink in. The Krillians learned this lesson once. They have never tried to go to the Sol system again. But there was more to the story. Zexhai looked around the room at all the worried faces. "You want to know why we are so scared? Let me tell you about the Morrison files." He pressed another button. New images appeared on the screen. "After the fight with the 12 ships, we sent a team to study what happened. What we found changed everything we thought we knew about war. The images showed the inside of the Krillian ships. Everything looked normal, but nothing worked. Every computer was dead. Every weapon was cold. Every engine was silent, but there were no holes in the ships, no burn marks, no damage we could see." General Ketra leaned forward. "How is that possible?" "That is what we asked," Zexhai said. "So we brought our best engineers. They took apart every piece of those ships. What they found still gives me bad dreams." A new image showed strange patterns in the metal of the ships. The humans did not destroy the ships, they talked to them. Every computer chip, every wire, every piece of metal had been changed at the smallest level. The humans somehow told the ships to turn off. And the ships listened. The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. But that is not the worst part, Zexhai continued. We found human fingerprints inside those ships, not on the outside where you would expect from a battle. Inside. In rooms that were locked. In places where no one could go during a fight. Admiral Vorthak's 4 arms were shaking. You mean they were inside the enemy ships during the battle? That is what the evidence shows. Somehow, while fighting from their own ship, the humans were also inside 12 enemy ships at the same time. They walked through locked doors. They moved through walls. They touched every important part of those ships and made them stop working. Another officer spoke up. Maybe they have some kind of teleport technology? Zexai shook his head. We thought that too. So we watched the video again and again. At no point did any humans leave their ship. Captain Morrison and his crew of 5 people never left their bridge. But somehow, they were also in 12 other places at once. The fear in the room was thick. Everyone was thinking the same thing. If humans could do this 200 years ago, what could they do now? There is one more thing, Zexai said quietly. After we studied the ships, we sent a message to Captain Morrison. We asked him how he did it. His answer was very simple. He said, "We asked them to stop and they did. Everything wants to be at peace. We just reminded them." Zexai turned off the screen and looked at every commander in the room. This is why we have one rule about humans. This is why every government agrees. This is why even the proud Krillians stay away from Earth. He walked to the big window that showed space outside. The humans said they were going to sleep. They said not to wake them up. For 200 years we have followed that rule. Our wars go around their space. Our trade routes avoid their system. When we make maps, we mark their area as forbidden. What if someone breaks the rule? Asked the young officer. Zexai turned back to face the room. Then we will learn what humans can do when they are angry instead of just annoyed. Captain Morrison was polite when he disabled those ships. He said please. He said thank you. He even made sure the enemy crews stayed alive. The commander's crystal body got darker. But in his message, he also said something else. He said, "Next time we might not be so nice. I do not want to find out what humans think is not nice." The meeting was almost over, but Zexai had one last thing to say. Remember this, all of you. The humans are not hiding because they are weak. They are not sleeping because they are lazy. They chose to step back from the galaxy because they know something we do not. He looked out at the stars again. They know that the scariest thing in the universe is not a big gun or a fast ship. The scariest thing is someone who can make you stop fighting without firing a shot. Someone who can walk through your defenses like they do not exist. Someone who can end a war by asking nicely. Zexai's final words were barely a whisper, but everyone heard them. The humans are sleeping now. Let us all pray they stay that way. 6 months after the big meeting, Amy Walsh sat in her chair on the space station Phoenix. The station was small and quiet, floating at the edge of human space like a sleeping guard. Amy was 25 years old. She had been born during the Great Sleep, just like most humans her age. Her job was to watch and listen, but never to act. Her partner Ben Carter floated near the ceiling, fixing a broken sensor. Ben was older, maybe 30, with kind eyes and gentle hands. "Amy, do you see anything new on the long-distance scanner?" "Same as always," Amy said without looking up. "The galaxy is fighting itself to death, and everyone stays away from us. It is very peaceful." Ben laughed softly. "My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days. Humans were everywhere back then. We had ships that traveled to 1,000 worlds. We traded with aliens. We explored new places. Sometimes I wish I could see what that was like." "We are not supposed to wish for those things," Amy said, but her voice showed she wished for them too. "The Earth Council decided we had enough of galactic wars. We sleep, we dream. We let everyone else solve their own problems." Suddenly, a loud alarm started ringing. Amy's computer screen lit up with red warnings. "Ben, I am reading big energy signals. It looks like a battle and it is coming toward us." Ben pushed off the ceiling and flew to his own computer. "That cannot be right," The safe zone around our space is 50 light-years wide. Nobody is supposed to come anywhere near here." "Well, somebody forgot to tell them that," Amy said, making her scanner work better. "Ben, there are hundreds of ships out there. This is a really big fight." The screen showed two groups of ships shooting at each other. Bright energy beams lit up space like deadly lightning. Ships exploded and pieces of metal flew everywhere. "Those are Krillian ships," Ben said, his voice full of worry. "And those others look like council ships. The war must be going very badly, if they are fighting this close to human space." Amy watched the battle get closer and closer to the invisible line that marked human territory. "Ben, they are going to cross into our protected zone. Maybe we should call them on the radio," Ben said. "We could tell them they are coming into restricted space." "Our orders say to stay quiet unless someone attacks us directly," Amy answered, but her finger was ready to press the talk button. "We are supposed to be invisible." The battle kept moving toward them. Amy could see that ships on both sides were getting hurt badly. Small escape pods were flying away from dying ships. Then one ship, a big Krillian war vessel that was smoking and sparking, broke away from the main fight. It turned and flew straight toward their little station. "Amy, that ship is coming right at us." "I see it." Amy's hands moved quickly over her controls, turning on all their station's defense systems. "It is badly damaged. Maybe they are trying to get away from the battle." The Krillian ship crossed the invisible line into human space. Amy felt cold, fear run down her back. "Ben, they just broke the treaty. They are in our territory now. Maybe they do not know where they are," Ben said, hoping he was right. But Amy's scanner told a different story. The Krillian ship was pointing special sensors at their station. As they watched, the enemy ship changed direction to fly directly at them. "They know exactly where they are, Ben, and they know we are here." Their radio started making noise. A rough voice spoke in broken space language. "Human station, this is Captain Mordak of the Krillian warship Deathhammer. We demand help right now. We also demand safe passage through your territory." Amy and Ben stared at each other. For 200 years, no alien had talked directly to a human. "They are demanding help from us," Ben said quietly. "I heard them." Amy looked at the radio controls. "Ben, if we answer them, we break the Great Sleep. If we do not answer, they might attack us." Ben finished her thought. Amy took a deep breath and turned on the radio. "Krillian ship, this is Monitoring Station Phoenix. You have entered restricted human space. Please change your course and leave right now." The answer came back fast and angry. "Human, we are not asking politely. We are taking what we need. Get ready to be boarded. We are coming onto your station." Amy watched as the Krillian ship opened its belly and small attack ships flew out toward them. "Ben, turn on the defense systems, all of them." "Amy, are you sure? Once we turn on the military systems, there is no going back." "They are trying to board our station, Ben. I think we are past the point of worrying about staying asleep." Ben's fingers moved fast over his keyboard. Systems that had been turned off for 200 years started to hum and glow. "Defense network is online. Should I send a signal to Earth?" Amy watched the small Krillian attack ships getting closer and made a choice that would change everything. "Do it. Send the awakening signal." "Amy, do you understand what you're doing?" She looked at him with calm but determined eyes. "I am waking up the humans." But there was more happening that Amy and Ben did not know about. The Krillian captain, Mordak, was not just running from the battle. He had a secret mission. His ship carried stolen information about human technology from the old days, information that the Krillian Empire had paid a lot of money to get. "Captain," said his first officer, "the human station is turning on defense systems. Maybe we should retreat." Mordak showed his sharp teeth in an evil smile. "No, we have been ordered to capture human technology. This little station will give us everything we need to understand their secrets." What Mordak did not know was that human monitoring stations were not just for watching. They were also for testing. For 200 years, human engineers had been improving their technology in secret. The Phoenix station was not just a listening post. It was a laboratory. As the Krillian attack ships got closer, Amy's defense systems came fully online. But these were not the same kind of defenses that other races used. Human technology had grown during the Great Sleep. Ben, the defense grid, is doing something strange, Amy said, looking at readings she had never seen before. What do you mean strange? It is not just turning on shields and weapons. It is scanning the Krillian ships and, Ben, I think it is talking to them. On the Krillian ship Deathhammer, alarms started ringing. Captain, the first officer called out, our attack ships are not responding. They are just floating in space. Mordak looked at his screens in confusion. What do you mean not responding? They are not destroyed, sir. They are just stopped. All their systems are running, but the ships will not move. Amy and Ben watched in amazement as the Krillian attack. Ships hung motionless in space. Their engines were glowing, their weapons were charged, but they were completely still. How are we doing that? Ben asked. Amy checked her computer readings. I do not know. The defense system is not using any weapons. It is just asking the ships to stop. And they are listening. The same thing that had happened 200 years ago was happening again. Human technology did not destroy enemies. It convinced them to be peaceful. Captain Mordak was getting desperate. Fire all weapons at the human station, destroy it now. But when his crew tried to fire, nothing happened. The weapons were working perfectly, but they would not shoot at the human station. Captain, the weapons officer said with fear in his voice. The weapons are refusing to fire. Amy's radio crackled again. This time, Captain Mordak's voice was full of fear instead of anger. Human station, what are you doing to our ships? Amy looked at Ben, then pressed the talk button. We are not doing anything to your ships, Captain. We just asked them to be peaceful, and they agreed. The truth was that human technology had always been different. While other races built bigger guns and stronger shields, humans had learned to talk to machines in a way that no one else could. During the Great Sleep, they had gotten much better at it. Amy sent the awakening signal to Earth, not knowing that her small action would wake up the most powerful force in the galaxy. The humans were about to remember why everyone else was so afraid of them. The signal that Amy Walsh sent from Station Phoenix traveled through space faster than light. It went through special relay stations to Earth in just a few seconds. The message was simple and had not changed for 200 years. Code Red Alert. Human people under direct attack. Request immediate help. On Earth, Admiral Lisa Stone was sleeping in her bed when her emergency communicator started beeping softly. As head of the Human Defense Force, she was one of the few humans who stayed partly awake during the Great Sleep. She read the message 3 times before she fully understood what it meant. Wake up the fleet, she told her helper. Colonel Ryan, Hayes. All of it, every single ship. Ma'am, are you sure? The last time we woke up the fleet. I am very sure, Colonel. For the first time in 200 years, someone has attacked human beings. Call Captain Dan Miller on the ship Retribution. Tell him to get ready to leave Earth right now. All over. Earth's hidden shipyards, systems that had been sleeping for many years, began to turn on. Ships that looked old and simple on the outside had technology inside that was anything but old. The human fleet had not been sleeping. It had been waiting. Captain Dan Miller stood on the bridge of the Retribution. He watched his crew take their places with smooth, practiced movements. His second-in-command, Commander Kate Johnson, called, out from her station. All systems are working, Captain. The fleet report's ready to go. How many ships do we have ready? Dan asked. 47 ships of different types, Kate answered, including 12 heavy battleships and 3 super destroyers. Liao nodded. He had been born during the Great Sleep, but trained his whole life for this moment. Send a message to the fleet. We are going to find Station Phoenix. And Kate? Yes, sir. Send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them the humans are awake. While this was happening, at Station Phoenix, Amy Walsh and Ben Carter were learning exactly why the Krillians had been so afraid to bother humans. Their tiny station's defense systems had easily stopped the boarding ships, and the big Krillian warship was now floating powerless nearby. How is this possible? Ben asked, staring. at his computer screen. Our basic defensive barriers just shut down a heavy battle cruiser.
I do not know, Amy said honestly, but I am starting to understand why everyone was so scared of us. Their conversation stopped when new ships appeared on their sensors. The remains of the original battle were coming closer. Both Krillian and
Council ships seemed to think that the mysterious human station might be worth looking at. Amy, we have more company. It looks like both sides want to see what we did to that Krillian ship. Before Amy could answer, space around them began to shimmer and bend. One by one, human ships began to appear from what looked like empty space. Ben, are you seeing this? The rescue team is here, Ben said with wonder in his voice. The main human ship, huge and sleek, moved between Station Phoenix and the approaching alien fleets. Amy's radio came alive with a new voice. Station Phoenix, this is Captain Dan Miller of the human defense ship Retribution. We got your wake-up signal. Are you and your crew safe? Captain Miller, this is Amy Walsh. We are safe, but we have a big problem. One Krillian ship broke the protection treaty and tried to board us. There is also a bigger fleet battle coming toward our position. Understood, Amy. Stay calm and wait. Amy watched as the human fleet arranged itself in a pattern she had never seen before. The ships moved with perfect timing, taking positions that created overlapping circles of protection and firepower. Ben, how many ships is that? Ben was counting contacts on his screen. I count 47 human ships. Where have they been hiding all this time? Their question was answered when Captain Miller opened a radio channel that everyone could hear. Attention all ships in this area. This is Captain Dan Miller of the Human Defense Force. You have entered restricted human space and attacked human people. By the treaty made 200 years ago, this means you have declared war on us. The response from the alien fleets was immediate chaos. Ships began breaking apart from their formations. Some tried to run away. Others moved into defensive positions. Amy could hear pieces of radio talk in many different languages, but the fear in those voices was the same everywhere. My God, Ben whispered. They are all terrified of us. Amy was beginning to understand why. The human ships had not fired a single shot, but their very presence was causing panic in two experienced military fleets. Ben, what exactly did our ancestors do during the border wars? Before Ben could answer, Captain Miller's voice filled their station again. Amy, you and Ben have done very well. However, this incident has ended the Great Sleep. The Earth Council has given permission for full restart of human military forces. Amy felt both excitement and fear. Captain, what does that mean for us? It means, Amy, that humanity is about to remind the galaxy why they were so happy for us to go to sleep in the first place. But there was something else happening that Amy and Ben could not see. Deep in the human ships, technology that had been improved for 2 centuries was coming online. The humans had not just been sleeping. They had been learning, growing, and preparing. Captain Dan Miller stood on his bridge, watching the alien fleets, try to decide what to do. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Alex Turner, gave him a report. Captain, the alien fleets have pulled back to minimum safe distance. They are holding position but not making any aggressive moves. What is their condition? Dan asked. The Krillian fleet has taken heavy losses. It looks like they were losing the battle before they met us. The Council fleet is in better shape, but they are both staying far away from our formation. Commander Kate Johnson looked up from her communications station. Captain, we are getting multiple requests to talk from both fleets. They want to negotiate. Dan thought about this. His orders from Earth had been clear. Show human capability without unnecessary destruction. Open a channel to both fleet commanders. The main screen split to show 2 very different alien faces. On the left was Admiral Vorthak, his 4 arms spread in what Dan recognized as a gesture of surrender. On the right was the Krillian commander, whose scars told the story of many battles. I am Captain Dan Miller of the Human Defense Force, Dan began. You have broken the treaty that established human isolation. Explain why you did this. Admiral Vorthak spoke first. Captain Miller, I am Admiral Vorthak of the Galactic Council Defense Force. We were chasing Krillian raiders when the battle moved into your territory. We had no intention of breaking the protection zone. The Krillian commander, Warlord Thekmor, was less polite. Human, we took what we needed to survive. Your isolation treaty means nothing to us. Dan's expression did not change, but Lieutenant Turner noticed the captain's hands tighten on his command chair. Warlord Thekmor, are you saying the treaty is no longer valid? We never agreed to your treaty, Thekmor replied with arrogance. The Krillian Empire bows to no one. Dan looked at his tactical officer. Lieutenant Turner, please show them our mining laser system. Sir? You heard me. Show them our mining lasers. Turner's hands moved over his controls, and the Retribution's forward systems powered up. What looked like simple work equipment to the aliens was actually something far more advanced. The beam that shot out from the human ship hit a big asteroid about 1 kilometer wide. The asteroid did not explode. It simply stopped existing. The silence on both alien bridges was complete. Those are mining lasers, Dan said calmly. We use them to clear space debris from shipping lanes. Would you like to see our actual weapons? Warlord Thekmor's arrogance disappeared completely. That is not possible. Admiral Vorthak, Dan continued, your files should contain records of our previous meetings. I believe Captain Jake Morrison showed similar capabilities 2 centuries ago. Vorthak's voice was barely a whisper. The Morrison incident. We thought the reports were exaggerated. They were not, Dan replied. Now let me explain the new situation. The Great Sleep is over. Humanity has decided to take a more active role in galactic affairs. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council happened within hours of getting Captain Miller's message. Commander Zexhai stood before all the worried representatives. His crystal body reflected the panic in the room. The humans are awake, he said, though everyone already knew this. For the first time in 2 centuries, the Human Defense Force is active and has sent ships outside the Sol system. The Krillian ambassador, a scarred old warrior named Grixnal, spoke first. This is the fault of the Council fleets. They drove our ships into human space. Your ship tried to board a human station, Admiral Vorthak shot back. You broke the protection zone. Zexhai raised his hand for quiet. Who is to blame does not matter now. What matters is what happens next. Our long-distance sensors show 47 human ships have taken position at the edge of their protection zone. They are waiting. Waiting for what? Asked the representative from the Outer Rim worlds. For us to make the next move, Zexhai replied with fear in his voice. Meanwhile, Captain Dan Miller stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the alien fleets keep their distance. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Alex Turner, gave him a report from his station. Captain, the alien fleets have pulled back to minimum safe distance. They are holding position but making no hostile moves. What is their condition? Dan asked. The Krillian fleet has taken heavy casualties. It looks like they were losing the battle before they encountered us. The Council fleet is in better shape, but they are both staying well clear of our formation. Commander Kate Johnson looked up from her communications station. Captain, we are receiving multiple requests to talk from both fleets. They want to negotiate. Dan thought about this. His orders from Earth had been clear. Show human capability without unnecessary destruction. Open a channel to both fleet commanders. The main screen split to show 2 very different alien faces. On the left was Admiral Vorthak, his 4 arms spread in what Dan recognized as a gesture of surrender. On the right was the Krillian commander, whose scars told the story of many battles. After the mining laser demonstration, both alien commanders were much more respectful. Warlord Thekmor, who had been arrogant before, now looked like a frightened child. Captain Miller, Thekmor said carefully, We surrender to superior force. The Krillian Empire accepts human authority in this region. Excellent, Danny replied calmly. Admiral Vorthak, what is the current location of all military fights in this sector? We will be establishing peacekeeping patrols. As the alien commanders gave him the information with growing desperation, Commander Johnson came to Dan's chair. Captain, are we really going to patrol a 100 light-year radius? Dan smiled for the first time since the crisis began. Kate, we have 300 ships still sleeping back home and about 10 million humans who have been dreaming of exploring the galaxy for 2 centuries. What do you think? Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Stone watched the reports coming in from the first human fleet deployment in 200 years. The galaxy was responding exactly as predicted. Conflicts were ending, trade routes were reopening, and every species was suddenly very interested in peaceful cooperation. Her aide, Colonel Ryan Hayes, entered her office with a worried expression. Admiral, we are receiving thousands of communication requests. Everyone wants to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. I am sure they do, Lisa replied dryly. What is our response? The Earth Council is writing a statement. Basically, we are open to peaceful contact, but we will be maintaining a significant military presence to ensure galactic stability. Lisa nodded. And if anyone objects to our expanded peacekeeping role? Ryan smiled. Ma'am, after what Captain Miller demonstrated today, I do not think anyone is going to object to anything we want to do. But the real change was happening in the minds of ordinary people across the galaxy. News of human awakening spread faster than their ships could travel. On 1,000 worlds, beings who had heard whispered stories about the sleeping humans now realized those stories were true. On the trading world of Nexus Prime, Merchant Captain Yeloth was explaining to her crew why their cargo run to the frontier sector had been cancelled. The humans are awake and patrolling that region now. No one wants to risk being stopped by human ships. Her young navigator, Pixwell, looked confused. But Captain, humans are peaceful, right? Why is everyone so afraid? Yeloth, who was old enough to remember the border wars, shook her head. Child, humans are peaceful when they want to be peaceful. But they have never been weak. The stories say they can make your ship stop working just by asking it nicely. They can walk through walls. They can be in multiple places at the same time. That sounds impossible, Pixwell said. So does making an asteroid disappear with a mining laser, Yeloth replied. But we all saw the recording. Meanwhile, in the human fleet, changes were happening fast. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons for 2 centuries were powering up and joining the active fleet. Humans who had spent their entire lives dreaming of space exploration were volunteering in record numbers. Captain Dan Miller received new orders from Earth while his ship patrolled the former battle zone. Kate, Earth Command is sending us reinforcements. 12 more ships will arrive within the week. What are our new orders, Captain? Dan read from his communication device. We are to establish permanent patrol stations throughout a 200 light-year radius. Any military conflict in this region is to be stopped immediately. Trade disputes are to be mediated by human arbitrators. And any species that wants to establish diplomatic relations with Earth is to be given safe escort to the Sol system. Kate whistled softly. That is a big change from the Great Sleep. The Great Sleep was always meant to be temporary, Dan explained. We needed time to grow stronger and wiser. Now we are ready to be the guardians the galaxy needs. At Station Phoenix, Amy Walsh and Ben Carter were receiving their new orders as well. Their small monitoring station was being expanded into a full diplomatic and trade facility. Ships from dozens of worlds were already requesting permission to visit. Amy, Ben said, looking at the long list of incoming requests. I think we are going to be very busy. Amy smiled as she watched human ships moving through space with confidence and purpose. Ben, do you remember when you said you wondered what it would be like to see humans exploring the galaxy again? Yes, I remember. Well, now we get to find out. The change was not just military. Human merchants began establishing trade routes that had been abandoned for centuries. Human scientists started sharing knowledge that could help solve galactic problems. Human doctors began treating patients from species that had never seen human medical technology. But most importantly, human peacekeepers began stopping wars before they could start. The mere presence of human ships in a system was enough to make hostile forces think twice about fighting. 6 months after the awakening, Commander Zexai stood before the Galactic Council again. But this time, his crystal body reflected hope instead of fear. The galaxy has changed, he announced. Military conflicts have decreased by 80%. Trade has increased by 300%. Piracy has almost completely stopped. Because everyone is afraid of the humans? Asked one representative. No, HFY replied. Because everyone respects the humans. There is a difference. Fear makes people angry and desperate. Respect makes people cooperative and peaceful. He activated a display showing the current state of the galaxy. Green zones marked areas under human peacekeeping protection. The green covered nearly half the galaxy. The humans have done what we could never do, HFY continued. They have brought peace without conquest. They have established order without oppression. They protect the weak without demanding tribute. The representative from the Outer Rim, Worlds, raised her hand. Commander, what is the secret? How do humans accomplish this? HFY's expression became thoughtful. I think the secret is that humans do not see other species as enemies to be defeated. They see them as problems to be solved. When someone attacks a human ship, the humans do not destroy the attacker. They stop the attack and ask why it happened. Then they try to fix the underlying problem. Back at the edge of human space, Captain Dan Miller received a final message from Admiral Stone on Earth. Congratulations, Captain. The Great Sleep is officially over. Welcome to the new galaxy. Dan looked out at the stars where human ships now traveled freely for the first time in 2 centuries. Kate, send a message to all human vessels. Tell them the galaxy is awake and so are we. Let us show everyone what humans can do when we work together. The rule that had governed galactic politics for 2 centuries, do not wake the humans, was replaced by a new understanding. The humans are awake and the galaxy is better for it. And in the deep space monitoring station that had started it all, Amy Walsh and Ben Carter watched as ships from 100 worlds came to trade, to learn, and to find peace under human protection. The humans had awakened not as conquerors, but as guardians, and the galaxy would never be the same.